Hi, I'm Abhi and I'm going to handle today's session, which is going to tell you all about what is a life of an astronaut going to be in space. So, we are going to see things that are very unique for an astronaut. That is, we don't normally get to meet them, but today we are going to try to know what is that they do and what is that they are very capable of doing in space. So, first of all, the question comes, who is an astronaut and what does he do? What does he do all the time? Does he always float around in space? Does he go around?
He works in space.
Works in space? Yeah, he basically works in space, but what does he work? What is he working towards?
He works the satellite.
Yeah, what then that question again comes, what is that all about? What is satellite? What is everything that he do?
Satellite can give us better Wi-Fi.
Probably, yes. So we are going to see what is that. And first of all, we need to know what is the meaning of the word astronaut. So astronaut is someone who is like a sailor. He is sailing across the stars and he is trying to find new things that can be discovered in space. That's his life. And his life is going to be always filled with a lot of fun and experiments. All these experiments we are going to see today. So what does he wear? So what does he wear every day? So he has to go outside and do some work. So let's start from the bottom. He wears something called a space suit. So the space suit is actually made up of some thermal insulation so that it doesn't make him very hot in the space or very cold
It's
because
perfectly white.
it's perfectly white. So it can able to reflect almost 99% of all the light that is coming and hitting on him. Even the visor, it is made up of a very reflective material so that no light can penetrate deep into his eyeballs. And he has also got some radio communication, so he has to call back people in the ground control and say what is happening, where is the screwdriver, where is the spanner, all these things he has to ask. So uses the radio communication devices. And he has got a display and control module in his hands, so he can able to touch. So he doesn't have a mobile phone in his hand, so he has something called a display unit in his wrist so that he can able to touch and see what is there in his entire system. And he can
His
also
shoes can float.
no, his shoes cannot float. Once it's fitted, it is always fitted with his suit, so it doesn't come off very easily. So he has to come to a special place in the control module, and then only he can able to depressurize and then remove the shoes. So the gloves is also like that. So he has to have very good grip. So whatever he's holding, even the spanner, screwdriver, everything has to hold in a very good grip. And there is also some life support system. In the back, there is a control unit which controls what is to be supplied. So oxygen comes in and he has to breathe all the oxygen, and what he gives out as carbon dioxide, that has to go back into the system. It changes back, it comes out as oxygen again. So this life support system helps him to breathe in the outer space. And the most important thing, he has a small camera in his shoulder or in this visor on top of his helmet. So this can able to send pictures back into earth so that the ground control can see what he is seeing. And the last thing, he has got a helmet, and the helmet protects him from all the external pressure that is coming out of the space, and also it helps him to protect all the strong rays of sun that is coming to his vision. So, where does he stay? He stays somewhere in a place called International Space Station, which is there floating in space from the year 1998, and it has been constructed completely until now. There has been lots of modules getting added and added. So this is basically controlled by all the international organizations. So there is European Space Agency, there is NASA, there is ISRO, there is Indian Space Research Organization. Everybody have contributed some little things into this. So this is a very massive size. So this is so big. This can accommodate the size of 8 football fields. So all this thing is floating in the space so that it can get added up with, like, it is like building new Lego blocks. So one Lego block after one Lego block after one Lego block, all these Lego blocks join together to make a very big space station. And this is one of the space modules where astronauts work inside. So they have got lots of electronic gadgets, lot of space things that they wanted to do. So I'll tell you what all the space things they do. So first thing, they need to eat. So what do they eat? They eat everything that we already eat in our earth. So they like to take
They keep
biscuits.
in a cover.
They keep it in a very tight packed cover so that it doesn't fly away or float away or anything. And moreover, they need to have everything strapped. So whatever they carry, they need to have velcro, they need to have a spring. All these things are already placed in such a kind of a tray, so that when they pick it up, it gets stuck there, so it doesn't go or float away. So if they try to eat something, they always have to have certain kind of gravity reacting on it. Do you know what is the kind of gravity that is there in the space? There is some kind of gravity. What is the gravity there in that chapati? The chapati floating around.
Can you give a closer?
It is also called as gravity, but very, very small amount of gravity.
Some force.
No, it is called microgravity, and this microgravity is the reason why we are getting constantly connected to the International Space Station. So, International Space Station, this a big crew module thing, is floating in the sky, and it doesn't fall back into our atmosphere. You know why? The reason is because of microgravity, because they have very, very small thruster engines that are firing from the certain locations. So they change orientation and they try to little pull away from our Earth's gravity. So they are counteractively going front and back in the Earth's extent of atmosphere, the last point, that is called exosphere. So there they try to float, and because of that there is a very minute small amount of gravity that is there in the space, inside the space station. So this is why things float around. If they try to place in one place, it tries to keep there in that place, or otherwise what happens, if they leave it there, it will go back, because there is counter gravity, that is the Earth is rotating and the International Space Station is also rotating. So that way it will make everything go around. I will give you another example. Okay, you are going inside, you are standing inside a bus, okay, and you have a ball in your hand. Okay, you're throwing the ball onto the space in between you, and it comes and lands on your hand, or it falls into the ground. Where does the ball fall? The bus is going at a
Ground.
the bus is
Ground.
the bus is the bus is going at a speed of 30 kilometers per hour. Okay, 30-40 kilometers per hour.
That means ground only, sir.
Why it doesn't fall back in your hand?
Sir, you told it will go very much fast, so it may fall down on the same. Because it moved and so.
So I'll give you a clue. Okay, there is a very small fly. Okay, there is a E, or in Tamil you call it as E. That E is coming and sitting on your nose, and it is flying out and sitting on another person's nose. So does that mean that the fly is traveling at the speed of faster than the bus or slower than the bus?
But in space, we can get it from our hand. But when the ball is going really fast and when it comes down, it lands somewhere very not in the hand, somewhere very there. You told when you're in Earth, when you throw the ball, when it comes back, it lands somewhere else, not to our hand.
Okay, it is slightly away or behind based on the speed that you let the ball go up. That is called relative velocity. So in Earth, it depends on your force that you have given to the ball to go up, and the ball, when it comes back again, if it is on same speed, it will come to your hands exactly. But if suddenly he puts a brake, what happens? The ball will go back. So it will fall on your arms, or it will fall on your shoulder or something like that. So this is called the reason why gravity acts differently in our Earth and in space. So in space, everything is moving very, very fast. So the space station is moving fast, the Earth is moving fast, and everything inside is moving fast. So we have an illusion that it is floating in space, but actually there is a small amount of gravity happening. That is called microgravity. So because of this, what happens? Even your blood doesn't go very easily. So what happens? You will get tired and you'll feel sick if you stay very long outside in this space. So they'll get nausea, they'll have headache, they need to have some kind of ways for the blood to go around in your body, so that they can all have a feeling that they are having a good healthy life. So what they do, astronauts go into resistance training. So this is called resistance training. So what they do, they'll try to put a belt in their hips and they'll do some jogging, and they'll add a flat plate in the bottom of their legs and they'll try to press it up and down. So all the muscles in our body will try to have new blood because of all this pumping action.
Whoever is strong, they can only go to space. They have to train a lot.
Yeah, something like that. So we are going to see what will happen if you don't train at all. So I'm going to tell you at the last, so not now. Okay. So all these things will result in something called as bone loss. So we'll try to have very minimal use of bone because we are not putting any pressure on our foot, or we are not picking up anything and putting anything in our hands. So normally what happens, the bone will have reduced loss. But if you keep on doing this, say for some months and months and months, if you don't move at all, if you are like right now, we are in COVID, so we are staying inside, we do not go outside, what happens, our bones and all will get very weak. So we have to do some exercise. So like that, astronauts have to do exercise every 8 to 10 hours so that they can keep working out their body's immune system and they can build up very good healthy life. So all these things will also contribute them into having better bone density and better muscle density. See, you can see when the bones are in normal gravity, that is one gravity is our Earth's gravity, it will have a very tighter and tougher muscles. If not, all our hormonal change and metabolic changes will result in a very minute tensed muscle, which is resulting in the reason why we are there in microgravity. So your intake of water will be less, you will have very poor muscle performance. All these things will result in a very large way. Yes, what is your question? You have raised your hand. Any question? No question. Okay. So all these things they have to do to keep themselves busy. So they have to do resistance exercise, they have to do some loading exercises, they need to have very good control of nutrition, and biophosphonates is kind of additional nutrients that they have to add so that they become a very good healthy people. So all these things will help them to know what is their actual muscles memory. So whenever they have good things, this is all related to medical science. So whenever you are going to talk to a doctor, they will say astronauts have the best medical reason, so they don't have to worry about anything to stay healthy in their life. So all these things, when they have a future in life, so they have to do constantly, they have to do so much of things, not only healthy things but also behavior things. What happens when you put someone in a room and you try to lock them up in that place for next 2 years or 3 years or 4 years? They become very accustomed to meeting the same person. You will have some kind of
They'll
emo-
get malnutrition
yeah,
without eating any food.
yeah, something like that. So they also have to find reasons to make them understand what is life and what is their next person's interest. Do they like to play music? Do they like Abby? All these questions will come into their life. If they meet Abby, they'll know about Abby. So that's like that. So all these things, they when they try to work around, they have to make themselves accustomed for something called as long missions. Any clue what might that long mission be? Any clue? Okay. So this I'm going to tell you. So as all we go across, so we'll get to know more and more about our future in space. So this future in space all depends of humans going and settling in some other place. Some places like moon, they try to relocate to moon and they start to live there. All these things is going to happen in their life. But before that, we need to know what is our life going to be in another planet or another spaceship or another satellite or all these things. They need to do some kind of experiments. So scientists in the astronauts in the space have the most jolly reasons to do things in the space, like how does the water bounce between two plates. So they try to make some experiments to see what is the effect of water. How does the person work with their soap or shampoo? They have to take bath, right? So whenever they come out of their life, they have to go and find their reasons to do some daily activity. They have to take some exercises, they have to deal with some soap and shampoo. All these things they have to do in their life. All these kind of things become an experiment for them. And they also have to take care of things that they have to worry in long run. So like taking care of things that they protect very easily in the earth. So in the earth we have a very thick atmosphere, we don't have to worry about all this radiation and things. But when we are in space, we are exposed to radiation. With radiation, how well the plants grow, will our animal skin or our skin become very cancerous, so will cancer grow in our system. All these things, all these radiation related studies they will try to make. And finally, when they were done with all this spaceship activity, they have to go outside and do some spacewalk. Why? Because they need to do some repair activity. So everywhere when you have,
Sir, I want to say that because all the activities they thought about from gravity, they also should do from gravity.
yeah, because they have to also understand what is life outside of the world. So when they go out there, they have to do some experiments to see what is the activity of gravity in their body. So all these things becomes an experiment for them, and the spacewalk is also an experiment where they try to do some activities to fix, repair, or they have to change a panel, or they have to do some screwdriver and repair work. All these things they have to do. They will have a very flat panel, and with that they'll have a probe. The thing that they stand upon is called a probe, and they'll fix down to that and they'll do some things. So what happens if you try to have a screwdriver in your hand or your wrench in your hand? If you try to move it around, you will also move with the screwdriver. So with that in mind, so they'll have some fixed position so that they can do all this activity. And moreover, with this, they are actually having to go to space to do all these things? Not at all. So what they do, they have some classroom activity, like how we are in Jollibees right now. We are doing some camps to understand things. They go to a training camp. So for space, so what they do, they'll put them in a water tank and they'll immerse them and they'll make them do all the things like that they do in space. So this is very very tough. When people are trying to do some exercise in their normal dress, it is easy, but in space suit they are added weight of around some 30-40 kilograms and everything is very tight. So they try to move around with their spanners, they try to move around with their legs, everything becomes very tough. So this entire thing becomes a training exercise for them, and this is where they go for summer camps. And all these things, taking care of food, taking care of exercises, taking care of radiation, taking care of activities that they can do in the spaceship, all these things are very challenging for people because they need to know this to do some extraterrestrial activity. So all this extraterrestrial activity is not very capable for our human beings because we are there in the world for the last 4.8 billion years, and all these things have affected our gravitational work. So when we know, we pick up a ball, we throw it in the sky, it has to come back to our hand. When we take a toothpaste and put it in our brush and we put it in our mouth, it is supposed to stick there. But what happens if it doesn't happen? All this impact of weightlessness, what will happen to our body, all these things will create our new question. So why are we doing all this? So when we are going to do something in the experiment in space, why are we doing all these experiments? What happens now? So we need to know and explore things in the space. So the first big thing that we can do is go and settle in moon. So we buy some property in moon. So we build a place there and we started to make some uh, revenue out of what we do there. All these things comes in a price. So all these things has to be done first in the Earth's atmosphere, then the spaceship, then we take up the spaceship and go travel to a distant destination. The first destination we can go is moon, and the next big destination is Mars. So we have plans. So the International Astronomical Union, so IEAU, is planning to create a body which can take us from Earth to Mars. So they have planned to do it at least by 2030. They had previously planned to do it by 2025, but previously because we didn't have COVID-19, so all these things got pushed by another 6 to 7 years. So we are expected to travel to space and to Mars by 2030, and we are expected to come back to Earth after we spend around 2 years there, and this will, sorry, 1.5 years there, and then will be coming back to Mars in 2032. So this is a kind of activity which takes around 573 days. So we need to know, because we have to travel for 160 days, we have to stay there for 570 days, and then we have to come back for 150 days. So all these things. So from here till going to Mars, we have to take care of food, have to do bath every day, have to do exercise every day. So 150 days we have to do exercise. We will get tired. So all these things they have to worry about in our life. So that's where we are going next. So for if you are going to live in Mars, you need to know all the challenges that you can face in our find, and then we have to go next to study all these things in Mars. So what will happen? The first thing, we have to study about all the human behavior and performance based things. So this is all related to how our human mind is working. So we can't stay awake for more than 24 hours. If you do that, we will get very tired, so we need to take some rest. We have to sleep for 8 to 10 hours. So if you try to fall asleep, then what happens to all the blood in our body? So where does it go? Does it go up? Does it go down? All these questions will come in our head. So that's why people are creating experiments so that they can see what will happen if you try to sleep in space. So this has become an activity for them to go and live in Mars. So how do they do it? First, they have to build something. So what is common between Earth and Mars? Can we know what is the best place to live? What are the challenges to we live? So what is the needs that we need? Do we need water? Do we need food? Do we need petrol? Do we need diesel? All these questions will come into our play. So that's where we are going to go next. So comparison to Earth and Mars, there is very little difference, but it's a very good place to stay. Apart from the distance, that is, it takes around 6 months to travel in the transit time. It is normally what you call it as a better Earth compared to our present Earth, unless until we make some changes to it. So that's what we are going to see. So all these changes, that changing the atmosphere, changing the time for which to we can accommodate to the life in there, changing to the gravity, changing to the temperature, all these things we are going to see today. So how do we live there? We need to go there either if we are going to see something very big in our Earth, so that we'll have some extinction kind of thing. So we either we are going to become something like dinosaurs. Dinosaurs all died out. What happens if we all die out? So we have to safeguard ourselves. So we have to get into a spaceship and go and live in another planet so that we will not die out. So all these things have been thought through by scientists. So they have thought through, why do we have to spend our life always looking at the moon? So why not we go to Mars and stay there? So all these things, they did some studies and they have come up with activities that are better suited for them to go and stay there. Right now, if you go and stay in Mars, it is very cold. So normal temperatures in Earth, it is around 25 degrees. But there in Mars, it is around minus 20 to minus 15 degrees Celsius. So it is very, very cold, pretty cold. And the radiation is so high. So, and it is only 0.3% of gravity, so 0.3 times of the gravity of Earth. So all these things it will have put so much strain in our muscles. So we can't run around. We can only jump around in Mars. So all these things they started thinking about, and they started to find what is the best place to do all these activities in Mars. So we're going to go one by one. First things, water. There is so much of plenty of frozen water in the North Pole and the South Pole of Mars. So if you go there, if you heat up the ground, we can take up all that water and we can make it into our water bottle and we can drink it up. First thing. Air is pretty tough. We have to create some kind of biospheres in there so that we can able to create fresh oxygen, and this oxygen can be used by the both by the humans, and this can help them to create new fuel, because oxygen is used for burning, so they can use that for creating new fuels for their own purpose. Food, obviously we have to do some experiments. We have to create some hydroponics, that is plants which can grow without sand, all these things. And if you can think about growing fishes, aquaponics, all these things we have to do. So with that in mind, scientists are wondering if we can do all these experiments in space, and if we can able to determine which is the better way to do for the next 6 months. From day one we go and stay in Mars, we can all make our own chapati and we can live happily. And all these things when you accumulate, it becomes very good for you. So we humans are known for creating so much of energy in our body. So we eat, sleep, and we get up and we do all the activities. So when we do all these things, also the plants need to have such kind of nutrition. So how do we make that? So do we take all the earthworms from here and put them in Mars and make the earthworms eat all the dirt? All these questions come into our life. And what do we wear? Can't wear all the time spacesuit. Spacesuit is very heavy. If you go around always wearing spacesuit, it'll be very dirty, and you will start to smell very bad, because you will never use soap, you will never use water. All these things will become a question. So what do we wear? And what kind of buildings can we stay? So if the building is going to be on the top of the layer of the Mars, it is going to be very cold, so you can't live there, and the atmosphere doesn't support you to breathe a lot of oxygen. So we need to create some biospheres. We need to go down, we have to build everything in glass, plastic, or we are going to build some tunnels and we are going to live inside the tunnel. All these questions will come. And what kind of materials do we make it? Do we make it with iron and steel? Do we make it with bricks? Do we make it with wood? If we are going to carry all the wood from here, everything you have to worry about. All these things. Next comes the biggest question: how do you make all the current, electricity? So you need to use your laptop, you need to use your cell phone, you need to use your charger, everything you need to make energy out of. So whether you have to go for nuclear energy, solar energy, wind energy, all these kind of questions. So people are experimenting in all these ways to find the best answer. And if you know all these things, then the next best thing to do is take on a ride. So we take our car or we take on our bike and we go on a ride around Mars. So we can explore all the terrain in Mars, and we can build our own colony, and we can build our own buildings and all in that place. So we need to consider all the fuel that is there available, and one big place for us to get all the fuel is by going to another planet and getting all the resources from it. And we can use deploy lots of robots to do all the dirty work. So we can do it for digging, we can do it for mining, we can do it for electronics things. All this we can do robots. And if not so, we can use the things for other things also. We can create our own books, we can write our own solar panels and windmills. All these things that we can do in Earth, we can create an industry in Mars, and we can create our own support system. And obviously we have to do some kind of activities so that we don't get spoiled by the low gravity that is there in Mars. We have to do some daily exercise, we have to go and see the sunshine, we have to go do some morning jogging, rock climbing. We can do a lot of things. So we can do some rock climbing, we can go snowboarding. All these activities are there in Mars, so that we go and explore so many things there. The world's, I mean, the entire solar system, the tallest mountain range is there in Mars. Can anyone tell me what is the name of it? Anybody?
Rock climbing.
No, no. The name of that mountain range. It's called.
Sir, any clue?
It has word Olympic on it.
Sir, rock climbing, sir. Rock climbing.
No, I'm asking about the mountain's name.
Olympic master.
Very good.
Mount Everest.
Mount Everest is in Earth. Who can it go be there in Mars? It's called Olympus Mons. It's the world's, sorry, it is the entire solar system's tallest mountain, and it is about 8 times bigger than our solar system. Sorry, 8 times bigger than our Mount Everest. So all these things, we go there and we can stay there, and this becomes our next big activity. So
what's it called?
Olympus Mons. OLYMPOUSMON.
Can you show me a picture of that?
Later, not now. I will show it in another session. So all these things are useful for you to know. And how do we make our atmosphere equivalent to that of living in Mars? So all these things, we have to go and take nitrogen from either Venus or Titan. We have to bring all the nitrogen from there. We have to put some new pipeline from there to Mars. All these things we have to think across, and we have to make some activities. And then we have to know where the right place for adding water, adding the heat, adding temperature. All these engineering activities we have to do in Mars over the next couple of years. And after building all this, we have to take all our animals, and we have to take all our plants and go and populate there and create a new Martian variety of animals and plants that becomes aliens for us. So after this, we can all worry about how to program our gardeners so that they can keep living for the next hundreds and hundreds of years, and they can maintain all the work when we are not there in Mars. Because we will come on vacation to Earth and we'll live for some time, and we'll go back to Mars and do all our important works. What will happen over the next hundreds and hundreds of years? We will be very frequent travelers to Mars. So can you tell me what is so unique about this Wall-E movie? What is Wall-E special?
I know, sir. This Wall movie, there is a robot which is living in Earth alone, lonely.
I know. But can you tell me what is these two scenes? Who is this guy? Who is this red color guy?
He works in a ship.
Works in a ship, no da.
In a ship.
He doesn't work. What does he do?
He lives.
He lives in the ship. Okay. And what does he do? From morning to evening, what does he do?
He just sits in one chair.
So he basically sits in a chair and he watches TV all the time. So and he
also drinks
a lot. Okay. So Wally's main theme is when a spaceship travels from Earth outside and it goes far away into a different galaxy, all the people inside the spaceship will start to become very obese. They will never exercise, they will never move around, they will never do some activity. So all of them will become very very fat, and they'll only do one thing, that is watching TV all the time, and all the time an external another robot is managing their life. So that's an evil robot that is doing their life. So we should not give that the chance. So we should all think about the ways in which we are healthy and capable people, so that we can go and live in space in a better way. That's why we need to think about the time in which we can able to make the transit from here to Mars. How does it take for us to go for from day 1 to day 156 and come back again? So we need to think about so much of things, and all this clinical activity I've just already told you. So all these things we have to worry about, and we have to create some fail safe mechanism, so that we'll never have any of the uh, incidents that happens in Earth. So normally we'll get sick. So whenever we make a cough, we know that we are getting a virus something, or we are getting some common cold, and we are going to sleep for the next 3-4 days and never go to school or never go to work at all. So we have to make ourselves committed to being a healthy human, so that we can make that 150 days journey, and we reach there and we can start to build our own family in space. So all these things becomes a reason why we have to invest ourselves in so much of activities that happens for an astronaut to do all these experiments in space. So over and over they can improve their health and performance. So by the time you go back to space, you will become a healthy human, not like a normal human who is very fat and who's not even moving a muscle, and he's getting drinks and
Prof,
watching TV.
and I want to say that when we come back to space to Earth, sometimes our ship will get on fire.
No, no, it doesn't happen all the time.
Yeah,
We will be advanced enough.
sometimes.
We will be advanced enough to build a space bridge, so that we don't even have to worry about our atmosphere. So when we take that lift, we press the button to International Space Station. The lift will travel for the next 30 minutes, and it will go to our outer space, and we can get into that. So it is like going in an elevator. So in the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years, people around the world, they have formed societies, they have found next big adventure to build some unique technological advancements, so that they can build an elevator that goes directly to International Space Station. They don't have to get into a rocket, go out to the space and come back down. So all this rocket thing is going to go away in the next 30-40 years. So whenever you become a very old person like me, you will be seeing all this. So these are the people who are doing these experiments to go to space. And if you are trying to become a person who is inspired to go to Mars, you need to have all these skills. That is, you have to have very good education, you have to have experience, good health and fitness, all this engineering, science, technology, all these things you have to have in your mind, so that you will become a fortunate person. You don't have to worry now. Today you are just a very small boy or a girl.
We need science.
Yeah, you need science also, a little bit of science. You can also think that it is going to help you to understand how that ball is coming back, and have putting it is back in your hand when you are throwing it in the sky. All this is science. So
That's gravity.
it is science, that is not gravity, that is a part of science. Okay, so I am right now occupied with Jolly Bees, so that you can able to see this session happening every week. So
Sir, is that you?
yes, that is me, and I was very little boy. So
Uh,
I'm going to be someone who's going to help you understand all these things in space. So that's it for today. And if you have any questions, you can ask me.
no, sir, we don't have any questions.
Don't have any questions? Oh, very quick. We've got 15 people. You can ask at least one question. One question each.
Okay, I'll say.
Okay. I'll show you what is Olympus Mons probably in the next session. Okay.
I have questions now.
Yes, please.
The question is that we need science or more education to see on space. Do we need science or astronomy?
Okay. This is a kind of tricky question. Okay. Do you like chocolate or do you like food?
Food, sir.
Chocolate is not a part of food for you.
Sir, but chocolates, if we eat every time, we get fat.
So similar to that, to read so much about astronomy, you will become tired. So you need to know a little bit of other things also for you to help you know other things. You can't be only one person, one man's army for everything. You need to have other people's knowledge also. So that's
You got
how.
me good, sir.
Okay. Next question.
That's a good response, Abhi.
Okay. Thank you. Any other question?
I hope kids are enjoy the session, right? If you enjoy the session, give me a thumbs up.
Ma'am, I want to say that food, there are different types of food. That means astronomy, there's many types of
Not astronomy, it's astronomy.
Yeah, okay.
astronomy.
It's a very
Whatever, whatever.
very cute way to say.
Whatever.
Very cute way to say. Okay, I was also like that when we were at that age. Okay,
Okay.
astronomy is also good. Astronomy will give you a lot of money.
No, sir.
Okay.
Astro food.
So food will also come later. But you have to do a lot
Okay.
of astro exercises first. You can't sit in one place. Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
Okay, yeah. I think a lot of kids they have enjoyed the session. Even I enjoy the sessions. Like I was watching from the other device. Like how was the session? Like the life of astronaut is really good. No, like knowing things.
I want at least one of you to go to space in your lifetime. If you're fortunate enough, please take me. Yeah, anyone. You just give me one extra pass. I will come with you.
I want to create games.
Free pass.
I want to go to different environment, and finally I want to go to spacewalk. That's my favorite of all.
Very good. Excellent.
And I want to check the gravity of the water. When I see the water, I feel like what is happening.
Okay, I have a question. Like, what you have like in this presentation, which thing is like more interesting for you?
So,
Like-
ma'am, for me, spacewalk.
Okay.
Facebook. And for others, I saw that water has been floating between the two bags.
My favorite was
Yeah.
the chapati.
Huh?
The gravity chapati.
Gravity chapati. Okay, good.
Chapati.
I specifically chose that picture because it looked like chapati, but it's actually called tortillos. It's a different chapati for Mexicans. Okay.
And growing the plants in different atmosphere.
Sir, why
It's a-
are
it's
you
a big
asking
task.
chapati in this class, sir? We are learning about astronauts, not about chapati.
But still
See,
chapati.
we are learning about astronaut, but we are learning about the life of the astronaut, right? Even astronaut need food, right?
Can't be
Yeah,
without food.
astronauts need food, but not like this chapati or whatever.
Then you should ask your mother to make yourself an astronaut food. So ask her to make astronaut food. Then we will go there and comment on their life.
You want to say your mother, sir?
I want to see
Hey,
my.
Sagar. Okay, Abhi, thank you so much for the wonderful session.
Thank you.
Even I enjoyed the session. All the kids they have enjoyed the session.
See you tomorrow.
No, tomorrow we don't have astronomy session. Tomorrow evening there's no astronomy session. Next week we have.
Tomorrow I'm going with Sir Space. That's what.
Yeah, we'll see next week. Next
Next week.
Tomorrow.
No, tomorrow. Okay. Thank you so much, Abhi. Thank you, children. Bye. Have a great weekend. Bye bye. We'll see you in another workshop. Bye bye.
I'm not gonna go.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye, dear. Bye, dear. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, bye, Lakshya. Are you traveling, Lakshya?